Uh, Hello everyone, good morning again. Today we are try to understand together intellectual disability, how intellectual disability affect individual and how we promote to access to an individual person to a cultural heritage site. Yes. Intellectual disorder characterized by limitation in three main areas: intellectual functions, adaptive behaviors, and developmental periods. Of course, from time to time, intellectual disability has been called by different names in the historical processes, like this concept, mental retardation, retarded, idiot, moron, and imbecile, which can be slang and offensive today. In some sources, concepts such as mental disability and mental deficiency are used, but we use intellectual disability for, of course, as I said, from time to time, and there have been used some different concepts, but for being more inclusive, today we prefer to use intellectual disability. Let's see what main areas of intellectual disability is characterized to individual. Intellectual function can be expressed as subnormal mental capacity. So, intellectual functioning is determined by standardized intelligence test, IQ test. We expect to give a definition or giving a diagnosis by looking standard deviations below the IQ score. If an individual have 2 standard deviation below the mean, is considered as an intelligence score for the intellectual disability. Therefore, an intelligence test score of 70 points and below can be described as the criterion value. Adaptive behaviors are a set of skills from peers at a certain age level. We expected some behavior from childs, doing some fine gross skills, saying some words in a proper time, and doing some mathematical or the physical problems. So we expect them at a certain age. Adaptive behaviors can be described like this, but of course there are some sub-headings. These skills are categorized under 3 headings: conceptual, social, and practical. Conceptual skills mainly include language communication, reading, writing, mathematical operation, and memory use. But social skills consist like establishing and maintaining relationship, displaying socially appropriate behaviors, understanding other intentions, which we call theory of mind. It's so important for this area. And practical skills, as you know, work safety related skills or the self-care skills. Intellectual disability highly affecting adaptive behaviors. Most of individuals with intellectual disability have some serious problem in the area of adaptive behaviors. Developmental period, meaning describing as a time lapse, birth to 18 years. We expect for a diagnosis, intellectual disability must be observed during this period. If we describe a situation as an intellectual disability, it must be observed in birth to 18 years. After that, after this period, we cannot diagnose this as a situation like intellectual disability. Let's keep going. What are the causes of intellectual disability? As you know, this is our fourth presentation. We talked about lots of causes of disability. As you know, there are lots of classifying techniques. In this case, we go for structural causes and acquired causes. What are the structural causes? Intellectual disability, chromosomal situation is affecting intellectual disability. Also, genetic factors is highly affecting, and of course, hereditary factors is quite have a quite effect on intellectual disability. Acquired causes is exposure to X-ray or the other high chemical substance. It's in the early childhood or in the pregnancy. It's quite be problematic, and traumas like an infection can be same. And also we describing causes in the time of occurrence. As I said before, there is some prenatal causes like metabolic problems or maternal illnesses, and the postnatal causes, malnutrition, neglect and abuse, and traumas. Let's talk this. Individuals with intellectual disability are different from each other. This is also reflected in the level of being affected by the disability. In other words, not all the individuals have the same severity. But how do we classify an intellectual disability? That's the main question. We go for two options. One, educational, the second one, psychological. In educational approach, the classification goes like this: trainable, teachable, severe, and very severe. In psychological approach, which is IQ test using for the basis, IQ of 70 to 55 is a mild, 54 and 50 is moderate, 39 and 25 is severe, below 25 as a very severe. sorry, 40. The prevalence of intellectual disability is affected by the many factors. These are primarily variables such as access to health services, parent education level, screening and diagnosing processes, and the country's level of development is affecting classification and prevalence rate. Although it varies across the world, we know the rate of intellectual disability reported to be between 1 and 3%. What is the characteristic of individual with intellectual disability? Sometimes, let's put this way, like this. Sometimes the individual may be strong in one area and weak in another. In some cases, severe limitations are observed in holistic developmental areas. What I mean, person communication skills highly affecting individuals, social skills can be highly affecting, and adaptive behaviors can be highly affecting. For this reason, we need to understand an individual by looking for just he or she, okay? In language and communication development, we observe problems such as language comprehension, contextualization, vocabulary, and understanding metaphor are frequently observed. In the other area of we observe some problems is receptive and expressive language. In this area, most of the individuals with intellectual disability have some serious problems. And of course, there are some articulation problems and fluency problems. When they talk, you catching the some pauses, some omitting. They omit some sound. They omit maybe some letters. For this reason, we observe some articulation problems. Cognitive development, of course, intellectual disability affect mainly cognitive development. There are, as we talked before, there are main areas in cognitive development: memory, attention, problem solving. In these areas are highly damaging by the intellectual disabilities, because intellectual disability is a disability for, we can say, memory. The memory is highly affected by the intellectual disability. Individuals with intellectual disabilities have difficulties with concentration, maintenance, and selective attention. For this reason, their attention span can be quite small. For this reason, you need to put one job, one task, one input at a time. Other limitation, finding solutions can be a problem. Being consistent is a problem for individuals with intellectual disability. And the other area, of course, as we talk in adaptive behavior, social emotional development. Social interacting skills such as understanding rules, establishing and maintaining appropriate interpersonal communication, like looking eyes, waiting, and giving the proper responses. Like this behavior, we don't observe so much in individuals with intellectual disabilities. Because of cognitive development problem, language and communication problem, affect and has a highly negative effect on social emotional development. As a result, limitation in interpersonal and social skills are observed. Because of this, they need some help to communicate, to express themselves. Of course, they use oral language. It's okay, most of them using oral language. Or most of them prefer the other modalities of communication, like sign language, like lip reading, like writing, or using some devices like speech generating devices. Okay, but we accept that they have serious problem in this area. Interpersonal and social skills are quite important, especially if we go for promoting the access to museum, because individual can't be requesting help from you if you have a open mind for a communication or powerful and selective tools like writing, like devices, like sign language, and then you have a right and you have a powerful tool for accessibility. Because of this area, of course, after the cognitive development. Let's keep going. So how we promote to access the cultural heritage site? Of course, you'll see most of same adaptations for the we using for the deaf or hard of hearing, individual with visual impairment or blindness, learning disability. It's all about the development, but we use some disability specific regulation. I would like to talk about them. Let's keep going. In pre-visit process, especially making some website, it's so important to using concept-free language. And the other important thing is if you use non-textual content like graphic or images, you need to add explanatory subtext for them. You see a proper example of it. Can you see? Can you read? Of course. You need to see for the read. So. The other important rule for making website is titles. You need to use titles effectively by make sure titles that clearly reflect the content. If you do that, an individual with intellectual disability can easily follow the content. If you do not, they lost their way. As we talked yesterday, we need clearly reflecting titles. We need for visual impairment, right? Because of screen readers. We need deaf and hard of hearing person because of this. So there are lots of shared regulation and adaptation for the accessibility. But as you see, we need, we talked about subtext for the deaf and hard of hearing person, but we adding some disability specific adaptation. Explanatory subtext. This can be more, this is more simplified version of it. But if you use this version and deaf and hard of hearing individual or individual with vision impairment also follow the text, understand the text quite easy. So in the world of disability, you have some adaptation. If you do this adaptation, and then the whole disability group can follow the rules, follow the instruction, and they being more inclusive actually. Okay, let's keep going. Of course, we talked about also accessible maps, downloadable and simple maps. It's also important for the website. And I would like to point out some situation. If you using videos in website, as I said before, the videos must focus on a single topic regarding comprehensibility per unit of time. If you do that, and then these videos have a power that you want. Okay, it goes for the also autism, but we need sensory areas and sensory maps for individual with intellectual disabilities, also individual with autism, because these groups can be negatively affected by the stimuli such as noise, light, or the crowds, or the sound. For this reason, sensory arrangements realized in the cultural heritage site. You need to do them, and you need to make a map that shows them.
Also, maybe having a relaxing room, because they may have tantrums because of the overstimulation issue. Of course, it goes with against severity. I mean, whatever the disability group is, the severity is the decision maker. So we have to maybe focus on mostly, like as I said yesterday, with the mild severity level, especially for the intellectual disability, because everything goes with this idea and with all these neurological issues, you know. Of course, it actually, what is your target? I mean, it goes with what's your target. Do you want to give a sense of emotion to the person? Do you want to give the background knowledge to the person? You know, it depends on the specifically what's your purpose. You know, with your exhibition, with your, you know, so. Huh? Yeah.
The background knowledge that doesn't apply.
Yeah.
Because it is too complicated,
Yeah.
especially historical
Yeah.
issues, and they don't have input, so you cannot use the language to convey messages. And
So that's
and the,
so we use this at the museums or the other historic. Oh, I'm sorry. We use the the historical heritage places to get socialized to the people with the intellectual disability, not to really teach or to get the knowledge of that place. I mean, mostly with the social to improve the social skills and
new possibilities.
yeah, like to initiate interaction, to get help, how to get help, because these are the places that you have these options that to be used, So that's why I think when you go with this is the hardest group that we work. Of course, the multiple disabilities is getting if you have like intellectual disability at the same time physical disability. So I mean, whenever you have these two, the other, as I said before, social and emotional developmental area also affected, of course, and communication. So, and all of them comes when it comes together, it's getting harder and harder, and especially for this group, we call it when we teach something, we call it task analysis. We have to make it really, step by step, and we call it task analysis, like how to drink a tea. There are steps, right? I mean, so we teach each step, and with the trials, maybe 10 times, maybe 100 times. Do you understand what I mean? So that's why, to you especially, what will be the main, maybe the thing that to give this social emotional, the sense of the content. You know what I mean? I mean, not that the more theoretical or the knowledge based, the experience.
So because we discussed also that someone has to deliver a prototype more quickly than someone here. I was thinking that because the stories we selected also are related to what the organizations are, so that I'm thinking to develop the story of Mastika, Sakis, and for that group, I would rather concentrate on the natural aspect. Because when you said that the socialization is most important, so maybe it is easier for them because I cannot go back to the history as it is who came there, who conquested who was all these details that need another level of the process. Even if you use stories, or if we use stories from protagonists that live in that and have the language history side so that they feel you really have a personal renaissance against you and she's talking to you, he's talking to you. This does not apply. So most probably I'm a bit lucky there because the plant can give me a possibility to make the plant itself, how it is, how it's collected, how it is cultivated, simple steps. But it's an experiment that it is rising now after we have.
Yes. See, for this group, we goes with not the chronological age. We goes with the IQ. I mean, we say intellectual age. The kid or the person can be like 18 years old, but he or she may have an IQ or an intellectual age of 3 years old. So then that's make a conflict actually. So he's like 18, but he thinks like 3. So the
for them, in general, this digital intervention is not.
But this is
because the physical part would be nice. I mean, how does the mastica taste? What do you do with it? How do you chew it? Can you drink it? Is there a sweet over there? Look at the tree. People working on it. I cannot imagine how beneficial would be the digital aspect for them. The only real profit that I can imagine now, because we have to go back and study this detail, is that as a motivation or for the socialization, the parents have the stories and go with them and practice the rest. So the digital environment is also for the parents. But the parents have also the real stories.
Yes,
I mean,
they may make it simplified with that. So, see, even when we work with, I mean, you see my center. I mean, I'm directing in Eskişehir. You know, we get the books, right? And the book says on the book says that it's appropriate for the age of 3 to 6. But when you work with the kids, actually kids, the functions at the level of 2. So then you adapt the content and you don't rely on the what it's reading. I mean, you adapt the content to the person you are directly working on.
Yeah, and the digital environment can be used to have a personalized pace. We are working on the schedule right here, and everybody has their own personal way of pacing and going through. So when you have a digital environment, you can adapt to it. You can take as long as time you need to work with it.
Yeah, that is of course another from the digital implementation point of view. It would be more beneficial for them to have a touch screen.
Yeah,
but it was not designed like that.
It's okay. We started. Somebody else will do the other things. But just to let you know, when the severity goes up, the proportion of the numbers of the people is getting lower. Okay, it's not
consolation.
Yeah. What? What did you say?
A consolation for me.
Yes.
So that the most difficult cases are
less. Yes, it's getting less and less, and nowadays. But of course, in as the Tezcan said, in the countries, I mean, having the really lowest SES and having health issues and or other like life conditions. I mean, it produces, of course, the more and more cases.
And from your experience with the sample or the experience from the center, can you say if this the average here is trainable and they can be in a degree?
Trainable. It's most of the groups we may say regarding the intellectual disability. Of course, it depends on the environmental conditions you live. As I said, I mean the less you have SES, the less having the health conditions, the more, I mean, having traumas, having the giving the birth because of the not healthy pregnancy situations. It produces of course the negative conditions with the child, especially with the central nervous system. During the pregnancy. So it comes with the child with the lower IQ especially.
Yeah. But also this developmental jumps, they are different for different children, and you can use that. That's why inclusion in the school is so important. I yesterday had a workshop, and there was one autistic child in
classroom.
And I'm working with them from the first grade. Now they are in third grade, and you can see so much development,
improvements
in his behavior and his verbal communication since the first coming into the first class until the now, because he is communicating now with me.
But
so an average, what is an average? But we said severity. We learned this.
we classified as the psychological classification, educational classification. You know, we have to do that. I don't like it, but we have to do that.
Yes, I understand. And it's methodologically, even in cultural heritage, but we don't train them. So tangible, intangible.
Yeah.
Is one. But let's say, what is the independence degree of well-trained people with mild disability? For instance, can they stay alone at home for some hours?
It ups to the person's intellectual level, social emotional adaptation level, what kind of experiences and education and the other experiences he or she had, how fast he or she learns, and about the memory issue of that person, because it goes with the memory. You know, you have to. You may think like you taught the skill, but when she or he comes, the day. I mean, the day after you teach that skill, it may go away.
No reproduction
Yeah,
level.
yeah.
It's just
Recognition
repetition.
doesn't work like us.
No, when they have especially the neydi nöbet geçirme de.
Epilepsy attack.
No. Neydi ki nöbet? When they have some like we are trying to find the English word of the. Huh? Meltdown? No. No. It's like epilepsy. You know, like when you had the seizure. Yes, seizure.
Yes.
See, when the severity goes higher, the seizures might comorbid with the severity. When you have the seizures, it means you may lose what you have learned. So you will start from start. You know what I mean? Yeah, of course. Yeah, yeah. So that's that. Then
So
that's
you
why.
have to retrain the whole set.
What?
You have to retrain the
Yes.
whole set.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
may. Yeah. So, but as I said, this is not. I mean, nowadays, I mean, you control the seizure with the medicines.
How is it affecting? So it is a chemical reaction.
Yes.
That goes through the right.
The seizure is a chemical, you know, the reaction in the brain. So
yes, and it deletes what synapses or how. I mean, you forget.
it's. I mean, from our experience, I mean, of course, it affects that like it takes you to the back to your skills. Of course, it's, you know, it's like a giving, like how do you say, clearing up erasing the knowledge. I mean, we don't know the mechanical. I mean, I don't know that mechanical background of it, but what we learn and what we see, that the seizures takes you back to the.
Are actually chemical reactions.
Yeah.
Yes. No physical connection. So, but the seizure is because it is going
We
through
don't.
the corpus callosum, and that is where.
We don't like it. We don't like to have. We want to have like in my 3 or 4 cases with the little kids, they had the timely seizures. Let's say, like, you see like she's or he is like, the focusing. It's not focusing actually, like staring at, but in short times. Okay. So then I recognize that in the play interaction, I send it to the neurologist to see like what's going on, because the parents usually not aware of this kind of seizures, because it's like 1 or 2 seconds, the issue. So they came with the report. Yes, she's having the seizures, and so that's why we were trying to teach, and then everything seems okay with the teacher, but the kid is not learning because of that. During the seizures there are like time spaces, blank parts. So it's not connected. The knowledge and the other, like the skill-related training, it's not connected. So you don't get the short memory, then you don't get to the long memory.
In short
And
memory,
even if you trial, that's why the teacher with, I mean, special ed teacher, they have the, let's say the group in the working group, like they have the tükenmişlik değil ya.
Sana hiçbir de gelmiyor.
Tükenmişlik, they have the let's say this consuming their energy. I mean you spend really time, hard of time, but you get small steps with the kids, you know.
And what about after age of 7? Because most of the paths in our
in
grades are unfolding until the age of 7 or 8. So do you see that after the seizures, after age of 7 or 8, is this losing of learned skills decaying down? Is this smaller?
That's true, because of the, like what we say to the neuroscience to us, 0 to 6 of the age for the brain development and for the plasticity, we call it, is the critical times. I mean, critical times of like the windows of the learning. Okay, but when the age is getting higher, then you, especially the language, you know, language skills, it's getting harder. So that's why we call it trainable. Like you can get trained, like they can read. See, like we have graduates of the Down syndrome. Down syndrome is a group of the, the intellectual disability group. We have a 2-year graduate school, the graduate of a kid with the Down syndrome. So you see, like it's affected as an intellectual disability. It's categorized as intellectual disability, but when you have the right, but of course this is like maybe 1 out of 10,000, the case. So, but of course that shows also, yes, when you have the correct, the way of the teaching, when you decide what the person needs, at what level, and then teach the correctly with the evidence-based practices, techniques, then everything goes away.
So I would like to go back to the memory issue. So when in the normal case, when we discussed that the information goes from short to working, and
basically, I mean, it's more complex, yeah.
And then it is stored in the long-term memory. So how it is possible that the skill stored is distracted when the seizure comes? I don't understand the process.
You know the Alzheimer, and then demence. At the age you lost the speech. So you may say, till the age of the 60, it was like a lawyer, like using the excellent sentences, smart speeches. Then you lost your speech. But you think still in your language, but the motor action, with the brain connection with the motor, because speech is a motor action when you think.
The seizure is like a chemical neurotransmitter.
Definitely.
Affecting
It depends on the what area of the brain. Actually, we have the professor from the health science, but it's a hocam.
And staying in the short-term memory, it must take some hours. It's hours to go from short-term memory to long-term memory. So if in that period from learning and until the going to long-term memory, something's happened, you will lost everything.
You must be a patient person.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Well, whatever I say to to my students, see, like last week I was with their first grade. I said some critical, because the critical, let's say, characteristics that you have to have. respect, love, you know, empathy, and several psychology. You know, that's don't go away with the intellectual capacity of being a teacher. Like, I mean, the other socio-emotional, psychological characteristics comes first to work with these kids and with their parents. Yeah. So there is not gonna, as I said last 2 days, there is not gonna be a perfect content for each group, okay? But we have to reflect, you know, these universal principles, you know, to our content, to make it more, let's say, to more focus on the who will get the most benefit out of it. And we will still not know, because see, in the classrooms, like you know, let's think like this is a class. We will give you a pre-test questions and to assess your knowledge about the intellectual disability, and after the, you know, the course, we will give you the same test, and then we'll see what kind of knowledge, you know, at what level it changed. But from what we are trying to do in our project, there is no need to assess this kind of, you know, the content, because again, we don't wanna focus on the knowledge, right? Only the knowledge, like the content we are gonna get, because from my perspective, it doesn't matter let's say, in what level or in what from the view that each participants get the benefit of it. It cares about me is it should be beneficial and should be usable, you know, the easy to use content for each group. Okay?
Also,
Yeah.
I think we have to decide the target group. Maybe.
What?
We have to decide the target group, because you said there are different maybe we have to choose or focus on one.
Yeah, but it's because it will be hard. It will be hard and not to be good to mention in our website, oh, our content is suitable for the, you know, the, let's say, mild group or blah blah blah.
No,
but
this is discriminatory.
yeah, it's not nice, but we will know, and we will maybe write down in our website, we will give you that, you know, that not discriminatory explanation of how you can benefit, whatever your level of your kid's level of the severity is, but you may get benefit. I mean, each of get benefit from different perspectives. Okay?
If we have a second simplified version of the whole story, and story is also another issue, because we have 2 more trainings in cultural heritage and digital culture. So what is a story? A story is not a description.
Yeah.
If you want to make it interesting, but the description is easier for some to understand. So we also need to we make 2 versions.
Just to let you know, one of the evidence-based techniques and practice is the storytelling for the kids with intellectual disability, for kids with autism, for kids with emotional and behavioral disorders. So we are, without knowing to the field of the special education, actually you decided the right technique, like storytelling. Okay? Maybe in the after not I mean this session, but in a couple of weeks we may give you a background of the storytelling technique. You know, you may get some, you know, idea from that the specific technique to apply to our, you know, the content. Okay? Tamam mı? Öyle bir şey hazırlayalım olmaz. All right. Yeah, you go ahead.
Thank you. As Professor said, individuals with intellectual disability or Down syndrome or autism sometimes have a a tantrum attack. In this time, of course, the cultural heritage site need to have a sensory. If you don't have a chance for the designing of the heritage, like the museum we visit yesterday, it's natural treasure. You can put a new room, or you can break down a wall or something, but you prepare some sensory bag. Sensory bag, a bag that helps the child from the overwhelming feeling of highly negative sensory, like smell, strong smell, like sound, like crowd, like lightning. For this reason, we try to put some materials in a bag, which we call it sensory bag, and the sensory bag should be provided before the visit, because we don't know when the tantrum attack come. Okay, we know this lightning is, for example, this lightning is bad for this situation, or the crowd, or the noise, but what we don't know when the attack comes. For this reason, before the visit, we must give this bag. In this bag, noise cancelling headphones and air patches and alternative communication system you see in the communication board, using preparing with some pictograms and spinner and the glasses. It's very helpful to child to regulate themselves. Okay, let's keep going. Also, we follow this rule. If we have multiple communication options, and then we count as an accessible museum, accessible organization, accessible something, but we must have multiple communication modalities. We must have. If you design some website, I don't know, you need to put some voiceovering. If you preparing some brochures or catalogs, you need to do large print option, braille option, and the simplified version of it. You need to do that. Okay, then can be quite problematic for the budget and the working lot. But if we start today, maybe 2 years later, I think ourselves as a museum, we can be quite accessible. But we need to start some point. As you see in the photo, there is a publicly placing a communication board. There are some words, number, a basic requesting, like in the museum where individuals wants to go, or bathroom, or to some area, or cafe, or park, all of them has a different pictograms, different symbols in there. It's a good example. We made them publicly, or giving individuals privately. Okay? Each communication board can be this size. it's quite effective for the communication. If you have a multiple modalities, then you're accessible. It's a most important principle. It's the most important principle. Let's keep going. We talked about sensory issues. I'm passing. Yeah. If you preparing some content, you need to put some universal symbols and pictograms with the content. You need to do. If you put some warning in the museum, for example, don't go this way, don't use the elevator. You need to use this symbol with the metinini hatırlayamadım ya, ben hastayım biraz, kusura bak. Metin. Sorry. With the text, you need to use simultaneously pictograms with the text. You need to do.
I think it is not for the disabled people, for all of us. For example, I don't know any word in the Bosnian, and I try to communicate the market, but in the wrong way. So, which one is active or coming? I didn't know, and dumped my hand on the thing, so it is important. So, all the pictogram image for all, but especially for the disabled, intellectual, autism, whoever disabled, kind of all of us as a disabled, that show us
Thank you.
where we go and what we do. Sorry, I just...
It was a pleasure. The other important principle is that using digital tools. We talked about it, so I don't go much further, but the research shows that the digital application or digital intervention for designing for the individuals with intellectual needs have a serious positive effect for the accessibility. How? As Professor Diken said, there are some important set of skills in the world of intellectual disability, right? They, everything as a skills. For example, taking this spoon is a skill. Taking this as a skills, drinking coffee as a skills, maybe chewing skills in the world of individual with intellectual disabilities. For this reason, if we decide which skills are important to access a cultural heritage site, and then we nearly completed our work, 15% our work. Because if we decide that, and then we train them to use using alt text, to requesting some help from the cultural heritage site workers from. Yeah, for this reason, we need to do that. It's so important. It's using simplifying language. I am passing. We already talked about it. 3 days. Of course, the making a tactile opportunities is also has a highly positive effect for the individual with intellectual disabilities, because of we multiplying the inputs. practice makes perfect. For this reason, we dividing skills into little parts and practicing over and again.
And when you use the skills, you start over.
Yeah. But there is a, we cannot say is a total loss of skills. There is no such a thing. But it's a highly negative effect on an individual's repertoire of skills. Yeah. Of course, all of us accept visiting a museum is a learning opportunity. For this reason, post-visit opportunity, it's so important. It would be useful to prepare end of the trip reminders about cultural heritage content, and it's served with the multiple communication modalities. It can be visit book or book card, is voice books or braille version of it. You mean it. It's up to our efforts, you know. Tips for communication. I would like to point out some important issues about when the communication with the intellectual disabilities. Firstly, distraction in the environment will negatively affect individual with intellectual disability. For attention span is limited, for memory issues. For this reason, it is essential to use simple language, simple sentences, simple and short sentences. It's so important because they have very limited attention span, right? Making summaries from time to time will help individuals understand the content more easily. And of course, more than one communication modality should be offered to the individual to respond. It's so helpful. And the other important thing, refrain from assuming that everything you say is understood by the individual with intellectual disability. It's a great misunderstanding. Refrain from that. And time to time, check whether you are understood. Make some summaries and check them for a better understanding. Exaggerated gesture and mimic sound will reduce to intelligibility and have a negative effect on person because of attention is already limited. You doing some big gesture or the high sound, this makes a situation quite difficult to understand. Because when I talk like this, everyone watch my hands, right? No, there is no focusing on my lips or the sounds that I make. Just like this. For this reason, we refrain from exaggerated gesture mimic. Okay? Evet.
I was talking about the experience of my London time. That's kind of similar things for autism or intellectual disability, and also you may see most of visitors comes then need to find their way without knowing English. So universal design they use for all. If you accept someone who already knows how to come into here and go out and find whatever you need, if I accept Daniel Onur already now, and I design according to this, I didn't put any sign, level, or pictogram, so then you should know it. But if I know, or if I accept, no one knows how to go, come, do something, I will put necessary label, pictogram, writing, text, whatever, in the right place. For example, I was driving on the M5 in the UK, and then I sometimes confuse which limit is 6 miles or less, or sometimes change. I realized there's a sign on that. I should want to work. After back to Turkey, I can sometimes confuse. Is it 90 or 50? I don't know. So, when I confuse, I can't see or find any sign. That's how designers should be approached to people know as an intellectual disability or normal neurotypic form. So this kind of helps us. We need all.
And then we don't have the pictogram for this class.
Yeah. And the most interesting story I heard in the 1960s to immigrate to UK from Turkey. My friend's father had lost his way in the 1965 or later. I said, how? He didn't know any English in words, just counting the bus stop. 1, 2, I'm working here, counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Everything is similar, you know, the bus station. And then complete the station, but 1 or 2 stop bus station later, get off, and until morning, he couldn't his home. Oh my God! Yeah, that's how label or the other thing, especially if you are in the UK, all the building is similar. So for our cultural heritage, I think we need to, or they already accept all people who don't know anything about it and putting some labels. And also for the disabled people, maybe we should more focus on the specific one. Because sometimes, as we see, already using that kind of explanation for all. I didn't know that culture or that place. That makes me kind of disabled, like knowing anything about this and connect, associate with the symbol or the other things, and then understand what is what and where we go. Sorry.
I'm also prepared some good example that using pictograms. Thank you, Ümit Hocam. There are very good application or examples that representing using multiple communication modality, because okay, you have more than one communication option. Okay, it was great, but it's important how you use them. If you use effectively, your communication board representing your cultural heritage site, or you download it and put from the internet. There are lots of communication board in here. There are lots of speech generating devices or the other things in the application stores or the other multimedia, right? Is important. It's very important to use them correctly and simultaneously. For example, the Access Plus is an application that I came across with doing some research at this meeting. The group of, I believe, Italian researchers developed it. It is a accessible application for individual with disabilities, not only intellectual disability. As you see, there are some crocodile for the National History Museum, and they put some simplified subtext, and if an individual cannot read text, they use the pictogram for each sentence representing the different symbols and pictograms. It's a very, very, very powerful tool, I believe.
So the sentence is replaced through a pictogram.
Yeah, yeah.
But how the cohesion of the story?
I couldn't catch that, sorry.
Each sentence is replaced by a pictogram.
Yeah.
How then the cohesion, because we assume that they know what the pictogram means.
Yeah.
So how a pictogram, series of pictograms ensure the continuity of the
So a man can don't know a pictogram or the reading. The good way is that it's also have voicing option.
Okay, now it's clear.
Okay. No, every individual with disabilities know the pictograms. No individual with the disabilities know the reading or sign language.
Because even the pictogram they have to learn.
Yeah, yeah.
Like the braille letters. They cannot use it if they didn't learn it. It's our assumption that all blind people use braille letters.
I would like to show some communication board, but I don't know. It cannot open in presentation. Maybe. Hocam bir tane örnek koymuştuk, açılmıyor burada da. Anyway, I already sent the presentation. You can look for the last
Presentation, we
page.
some videos, some links, and it's not working right down here, but
Yeah, yeah.
so we may share with the other who doesn't have access to this.
Thank you for listening. Is there any question?